Please listen to the rules and procedures that will follow for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged. Come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application and it's other than a renewal and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First application tonight is application 25246 of Salvatore Lupo, property located in Deer Park. Name and address for the record, please.
Scott Kahn, Principal, Oyster Bay Drafting and Architecture, 68 West Main Street, Oyster Bay, New York.
Okay, and do affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated January 22nd, 2026. Environmental Control memo dated January 28th, 2026. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey by Angelo Joseph Sirica, dated June 27th, 2025. Tax map acting as an area map.
Chairman, there's 10 photographs.
Okay. Would you like to tell us about the application?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm here representing the Lupo family. We're here before you seeking several variances to build a one-story addition on the home. Our first request is to diminish the front yard setback from 30 feet to 25 feet on Andover Drive. As the house is angled on the property and irregular in shape, it's a pie-shaped property. The west side approaches closer to the street. That's where we're looking to build and ask for the 5-foot setback. That being said, our second request is to allow a 7.1-foot west side setback to the proposed addition instead of the 12-foot minimum. We had considered angling the rear of the addition to accommodate the setback, but it just wasn't a good design solution. Our third and fourth request is to permit a 144-square-foot shed to remain at 5.7 feet from the property line, the east line, and 7 feet from the west line in lieu of the 8-foot minimum required. The shed is 13 feet in height and conforms to height regulations. Lastly, I'd like to discuss the total building area request as listed on our denial letter. We're asking for 33.92% over the allowable 20% by town ordinance. Out of the 13.92%, only 3% is attributed to the new foundations for this addition. The additional square footage is the pool and patio. And I did a very straightforward diagram, if I could hand it in, if you want.
Yeah.
And that clearly shows the pool outline and patio, which is almost the size of the house itself. So really, the addition we're asking for is only 3% of the property. And we feel there's no undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood. This is not a substantial variance. No adverse effect of physical effect on the environment, conditions, and the neighborhood. Yes, it is well self-created, but the lot was not. It's a pie-shaped lot, so this is the only place we really could put this addition. On the easterly side of the house, there's an in-ground pool and patio. Mainly, the addition is going to be for Nancy, who I know well. She's an interior designer, very talented. She works from home, and her husband, Sal, is disabled, and he's a regional manager for UPS. So for now, they're going to be using this for both of them to work. They have 3 young boys, so the house is quite busy. They need a place to get away and work. I read in the comments from the zoning board, if one day they do decide to make it an accessory apartment, possibly for one of the boys when they grow up a little, they will file an application for that. But for now, this is strictly a one-story addition attached to the house. Some of the other concerns the board had were the shed on the property. Will be supplying plans for that as well. It's well built. It's under the height limit. Mr. Lupo has a fig tree collection, and sometimes seasonally, October through, I think, February or March, he puts up a tent structure to keep them covered. So that might be something that the zoning board saw in the aerial view. I took a picture of it. If you want me to, I could submit that. It's just a canvas shed. It comes down all the time and it goes back up. And the other structure that you might have seen in the aerial view is a play area for the boys. I took a picture of that as well. It's not a permanent structure, so that's why I feel the surveyor didn't show it on the survey, because it's kind of just a makeshift thing. I think that's it. I took some photos of the shed as well, if you want. I could submit those.
Oh,
For a fig tree.
And unless the board has any questions, I think I covered it all.
thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Montiglio.
Good evening, how are you?
Hi.
You answered most of my questions in reference to the reason for the addition. If you ever did make it an apartment, you need to get a accessory apartment application.
Absolutely. I discussed that with them already.
This shed, is it 14 feet? What's the height of that shed?
It's 13 feet. I measured it myself.
Okay. And the numerous structures, like you said, the pictures of it are pretty, there's nothing's permanent. I mean, nothing's concreted
No.
down or,
No.
Yeah.
we have a few conditions. If it was approved, if the shed was ever taken down and disrepair, would be put in a different location?
Yes, that would be fine. We conform to the 8-foot setbacks.
And if all additional accessory structures must be removed before legalized?
Understood.
There's going to be no additional kitchen, just basically the one
No
bathroom?
extra kitchen.
A three-piece?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. That's okay. That's okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve application 25-246 with the two conditions: that the shed was ever taken down or disrepaired, built in a conforming location, and all additional accessory structures, building must be removed or applied to be legalized.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Next application is application 25-248 of Costello Ace Hardware, property located in Flemingdale.
Hello, everybody.
Name and address for the record, please.
Justin DiCarlo, 172 Cranberry Drive, Mastic Beach. I am representing Costello's Ace Hardware for our store in Farmingdale, Farmingville, rather. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Okay. Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Absolutely.
Okay, so before we begin.
Yes.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated January 22nd, 2026, environmental control memo dated January 28th, 2026, Suffolk County planning memo dated January 28th, 2026, a decision of local determination, take no position for or against, a survey. Alexander Tuskerman, dated June 24th, last dated June 24th, 2015. Tax map acting as an area map, and
Chairman, there's 9 photographs in the site plan by Luigi Gileno, dated December 23rd, 2025.
okay, would you like to tell us about the application?
Okay, so this is our second time trying to get these signs up there. So when we originally tried to submit for the Benmore and the Hearth and Spa signs, as you can see, everyone can see behind you. Let's see. We were told we were in violations for several other things. The window decals, the pylon sign, as they cover more than 50% of the window. Christopher Roberts, the building inspector, said that we would need to get permits for the existing signage before we get any new signs as planned. As per his request, we filled out the sign application, provided the specs for the decals and photos of each. We submitted everything on 8/21. I'm sorry, folks. Yeah, so we tried to get these signs up once, but we found out we did other things that we weren't supposed to do. So now we're here trying to get those other things and these signs approved at the same time.
Sorry, hearing over to me. So So you got a lot going on here. These window signs, and they're just, it's a lot,
There is, yes, I understand.
And quite frankly, we're not going to approve them all, so you're going to have to go to Plan B here.
Okay, well, I would
You
like
know,
to
the
just,
window signs, and if you look at what you, right now, look at number 3, 4, 5, 6, at the very least. Okay? But you just got, there's way too much going on here. You have a nice sign out in front, the pylon sign that says Ace Hardware.
yes.
The rest of this is just way over the top.
Well, on the other side of those decals is just nothing. There's just gondola, pegboard, unfinished. It doesn't look particularly nice. They don't function as windows. If you go into the store, there's product 360, except for the windows, which have less than 50% of a decal on them, of course.
So why do we need all of these others, like the Benjamin Moore and Costello's? I know Costello Ace, I get that part, but, why are we advertising the Benjamin Moore individually as opposed to other things?
Benjamin Moore is a very popular brand that is exclusive to us in this area.
You have another one here for Milwaukee.
We have a
What's
substantial,
Bullfrogs? Oh, that a hot tub or something?
yes.
Okay.
As for the pylon sign, that was there when we moved in. We just put the acrylic sign into it. It's not lit.
Okay.
There was an obstruction that is in the process of being moved once our flatbed is not buried by snow. And the Hearth and Spa sign is to assure everyone who's driving past that we shall sell Hearth and Spas.
I mean, wouldn't people recognize as Ace that you would sell all these different products? It's a hardware store, I'm just wondering, is it necessary to have all of these signs? That's,
I understand your concern, but I would argue that they work more like movie posters outside of a movie theater. These are things that we sell in the store. Movie theater has movies. Does it really need to have the posters outside? There's a big sign that says the names. Kind of the same concept. And those stickers decals rather, are facing 2 other buildings. It's basically a breezeway to get to the back parking lot.
are these signs up now currently, or
The decals are, yes.
the decal signs are up?
Yes.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Okay, we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. I will keep the record open if you would like to change some of the signage and, come back
Okay.
with something a little more reasonable.
Understood.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay. Next application, hold on. Next application, application 25247 of MRM Ventures LLC, property located in Deer Park.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the applicant, Joseph F. Bazell. The firm is Bazell, Blanta, and Visconti. We are located at 535 Broad Hollow Road, Suite B4 in Melville. I'm turning in the posting affidavit.
For the record, we have a planning memo dated January 22nd, 2026, environmental control memo dated January 28th, 2026. If we were to approve this application, it would need a negative declaration. We have Suffolk County Planning Memo dated January 28th, 2026, decision of local determination, take no position for or against. We have correspondence from somebody at 89 Green Meadow Drive, Ralph Fallarino. It seems like favor of the application. We have a survey by Pinnacle Land Surveyors dated August 25th, 2025. Tax map acting as an area map and
Chairman, there's 5 photographs and a site plan by Thomas Walsh dated September 18, 2025.
was it? We are waiting on fire marshal, okay. Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
The application of MRM Ventures concerns a non-medical cannabis retail dispensary. I'll be referring to some documents in the discussion, so I'd like to turn in some copies. The CO, a prior zoning board approval, some photos, aerial photos, and renderings. On most of them, I have made a bunch of copies. Now, the property is located on the south side of Grand Boulevard in Deer Park, 273 feet west of Brandywine Drive. It's zoned Industry G. The area is an industrial zone. The site is 50,053 square feet or 1.15 acres with 254 feet of frontage and a depth of 197 feet. It is improved with an existing strip shopping center, which was issued a CO for retail stores in 1988. That CO was based on ZBA 87-844 to increase the amount of parking which was allowed in the front yard. It's a single-story building, 13,338 square feet, supports 10 units in traditional linear fashion with the building facing the roadway. Parking is in front and in rear. There are 2 curb cuts, one on the east side, one on the west. 64 spaces are required, 66 are provided. Now, we are in the northeast corner of the town. Interestingly enough, in the area which was once the Deer Park Airport, which closed in 1974. All abutting properties are industrial. To the east, west, and south, they're industrial G. Across Grand Boulevard, industrial GB. Across the street, there's a shopping center on that GB parcel with a Kohl's, a Stop and Shop, a restaurant pad. Behind that, you have the Tanger Mall. BJ's Wholesale is also over there. Miller's Ale House is over there. The traffic for the applicant is beyond de minimis when compared to the Tanger Mall. To the east of us on Grand Boulevard, there is a deli. To the east of that deli is another strip shopping center. To the west of this parcel, there is a large driveway entrance because there are 2 properties behind this site which access off Grand Boulevard. That is a divided entrance to those lots. There's a landscape island in the middle with ground signs. On the other side of that, there's a building which supports Popeye's Clam Bar and office space, and finally you get to 7-Eleven at the corner. The properties to the rear, a large U-shaped multi-tenant building, industrially G zoned. The unit MRM would occupy is the end unit or end cap on the east, which is on the left if you're facing the center. It is 2,267 square feet. There are 10 units in this shopping center. All the other 9 are non-cannabis related. There is some takeout, some personal service, and there's retail, a nail salon, a convenience store, a barber shop, enterprise rent-a-car. And if you're a takeout fan, you can get Italian, Asian, and halal in this shopping center. The site is adequately landscaped in accordance with its original site plan, which provides screening. The site design and is going to be preserved. The tenant's work is internal. No facade work is proposed, so the character and design of the building will remain exactly as it is now. The appearance of the building and the appearance of the site will remain the same. The parking lot will, however, be restriped. Again, it has 66 spaces, 64 are required. Turning to the interior, and there are photos I turned in, at 2,267 square feet, that's only 17% of the 13,328 square foot building. The operation is clean, first class, as per New York State regs. You cannot see into the store from outside the store. Customers would enter into a secure vestibule. It's staffed. There's an age check. Then you go through a second door that takes you into the customer area of the store. There is an order process. You can't simply pick something up off the rack. All products are kept in an employees-only area in the rear. There are examples in product display cases. The customer would order at a computer kiosk, then go to the counter, register. There's a second age check. They would then pay for and pick up the order. No on-site consumption, just retail sales, no drive-through window. New York State requires a security system. There would be a security system. It'll be a state-of-the-art one. Hours of operation are anticipated at 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. The highest number of employees that would be on the site at any one time is 6. There are also 2 delivery drivers, but they would spend almost all their time on the road. Retail cannabis, viewed by the state as a sale of a retail product. There's ample parking, no changes to the site. Per the Office of Cannabis Management, or OCM report, no pending licenses within 1,000 feet, no schools within 500 feet, no places of worship within 200 feet, no public youth facilities within 500 feet. The issue here is obviously the distance to the Quail Run condominium. Now, we have prepared a legal discussion. Which reminds me, I got to tell my partner to order paper. The town's requirement is 750 feet. The proposal, as the town calculates it, is 460 feet. Quail Run is to the south. You can see it on the aerial. In between this site and Quail Run, there are improved industrially zoned properties. On the west side, multi-tenant, large U-shaped building. On the east side, there are 3 industrial G properties, all developed. Quail Run is a gated community, only permitting access to residents. It's fenced in. There are landscape buffers. The building here faces Grand Boulevard. It's fully screened from Quail Run, particularly by the buildings. You can't see the building into which the site would go from Quail Run at all. Quail Run does not have access to direct access to Grand Boulevard. Its access is principally from Comac Road. There is a rear entrance on Brandywine Drive. Brandywine is a street of industrial zoned property. The dispensary property is 1,000 feet via the walking driving distance from entrance of the site to the entrance of the condo complex. A lot of this comes, as discussed in the legal submission, comes down to state preemption. And the cannabis, a few years ago, and for most of my life, cannabis was not legal in the state of New York. Then New York turned around and decided. A lot of the towns were of the opinion that the time, place, and manner restrictions were similar to a standard special permit, or at least an adult use. The state views it very differently, more like alcoholic beverage sales, where the state really runs the regulations. There are 8 dry towns in the state of New York. They're all very rural, and their situation is historic. The state has regulation, I'll not get into it, which talks about the requirements that one would have to open a cannabis store, there is no setback to residential property on it. And what the state has said in 3 advisory opinions now, and what the courts have concluded in 3 Suffolk County lawsuits, is the list is exclusive. The state has preempted the field. It's similar to alcoholic beverage sales. If you meet the state's requirements, you have a lawful use. As this site meets all the state requirements, the use is lawful. The courts have been resolving this, particularly in cases on the East End, which Southampton and Riverhead. They've thrown out sections of their code. The state's advisory opinions are very, very firm. If the state approves the location, unless the town has opted out, which Babylon hasn't, then the site is legal. Towns do not have the ability to regulate where the state has preempted it. And you see by the advisory opinions, the state is grabbing the reins and is saying, we control this industry, not local authorities. There's no differences in the Babylon Code from the other codes that are discussed in those opinions. 1 is upstate, 2 are down here. The 3 court cases are from down here. Local municipal regulation, except as to the issues that are set forth in the state administrative regs in the NYCRR, is simply not allowed. We've effectively briefed it. There's no reason for me to get into what's already in writing. I do, however, note that the state also measures, where the state measures distance for schools and places of worship, it does very differently. It's an entrance-to-entrance calculation. So from a door which the public can enter to a door which the public can enter. In this particular case, the front door of the establishment, the rear door is not open to the public, it's for deliveries. To the front doors of the condos, that would bring the distance here up to about 705 feet. Even from the rear door, it's about 635 feet. If the state says no special permits are allowed, if it was allowed, special permits, of course, are presumed compatible with the surrounding community unless there is specific evidence of a specific negative effect which justifies denial and which cannot be addressed with a condition. That's state law from special permit cases generally. As to the variance, if we get to that as a discussion, and we should, it's an area variance because area variances pertain to dimensional or physical requirements. This is a dimensional requirement. You can calculate it. It's a distance. If you can calculate the distance and come up with a percentage, it's an area variance. In the present case, that's a balancing of the benefit of the applicant against the detriment to the community. The variance is necessary for the site to operate at all, which is a paramount benefit. On the other side of the equation, we see no harm to the community. This is a retail business going into a retail building that's built to house retail and CO'd for retail. The condominium is all the way on the other side of other properties which are improved and fully screen it. They do not use the same roads. Nobody is going to wander into the condo accidentally, and the condo can't even see this place. There is no alternative. Either you would have if a variance is needed. Without the variances, there's no option. There's no physical or environmental impact. Shopping center stays exactly as it is now. It's a new retail tenant moving into a multi-tenant commercial building. No matter how the hardship arose, it's just not determinative. And here the hardship is the product of the town's code not complying with state law. Even if a use variance was required, it should still meet that test. Without the variance, the applicant has no ability to use its New York State license, so it gets no return. The issues on character have already been discussed. The issue on hardship has already been discussed. And this, as to uniqueness, this is a large industrial area. If you look at the zoning map, it's a half a mile wide and a mile, 1.2 miles deep. In it, only a handful of properties are affected by this distancing requirement. The use is clean, it's upscale, it fully complies with state requirements. The space is currently vacant. I understand no municipality is happy to hear that state preemption is out there. I've represented many in my day. Nobody ever likes it, but it is the state, and we all have to accept what the good and the bad when the state does something. And here, the state has made it very clear that they have preempted this field, and other than those few things that are allowed in the regs, the distance from the other stores at 1,000, the distance from schools at 500, the distance from places of worship at 200, that's all they're really allowing. It's not for us to debate the propriety of that. State never asked anybody, but there it is, and that is the ultimate result. The state wants cannabis to be sold in the same way as alcoholic beverages. And if you read those state opinions, you can see they want to open it up to commercial properties. No special permit. You can go in on a building permit. That concludes the presentation. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I have a representative of the applicant here. That's it.
Okay. So you are saying that the state trumps everything that the town code says?
It's the state, and I'm not personally saying that.
I know it's
I'm
not
saying the
personally, you're
documents I submitted are from the state, and the state says that. And there's 3 Supreme Court decisions that say that, and the Attorney General for the state of New York wrote a letter to a judge in one of those 3 cases, which supports that position. So I'm not sitting here to tell you what I think the state says. I'm giving you the documents to read, and that is what the state is saying.
Okay. Has your client looked at any other location as opposed to this location?
He's
that
looked
would meet
at,
the code
like-
of town?
Like most cannabis operators, they have looked at numerous locations. He had other sites fall through. He is pursuing one out in Southampton. And the interesting thing about Southampton is people worry about negative effects. There is a street running along the Shinnecock Reservation. It's a town street. There are eight cannabis stores right next to each other in a row. I've driven by it a bunch of times. There's no, negative red light type district out there. It's just 8 stores. Yes, it's the reservation, but they all front on a public street. All the
The
studies
answer to
on,
my question is,
Yep.
they haven't looked at another location? or
They've
they-
looked
they-
at
they
many
looked at
other
this location, knew
locations.
it might be a problem, but they considered doing it anyway?
you can't necessarily get every location that you would like, and every location doesn't necessarily work. Remember, most of Babylon's industrial properties are not on the main streets. So there is Grand Boulevard, but as you go down those side streets, they're mostly industrial. Even on 110, you drive up 110, 110 itself is predominantly commercial. You go down the side streets and they're largely industrial, because a retail business needs to be friendly and accessible to its customers. An industrial business doesn't have that same need. So most of the properties in this district would not work for retail purposes. Others that do were not available. The applicant doesn't come in here and say, gee, I want to make a ZBA application. I want to have a variance from the code. The applicant would rather not. But in this case, it was not possible.
It was not possible. There's no other location that would meet the code.
that was capable of being acquired at this time. And remember, once somebody goes in, the state boxes out 1,000 feet. So he did look at other sites. He was unable to work agreements with the landlord. Sometimes there was existing tenants. Sometimes the landlord had other preferences about what they wanted to do, but you can't necessarily knock on a door and get a lease for every space that you would like.
Good evening, how are you? A few things, actually. I did pass the location on Tuesday, and the sign was knocked over.
Yeah, that was replaced. That came down due to storm.
I passed by that again today, it wasn't there.
Ralph, you want to come up and talk about the sign?
I mean, it was on like 2 little toothpicks.
I mean, signs come down, and we just had a bad storm.
They come down, they gotta go back up.
Yeah, I had put in the sign up myself. I took photograph evidence. I don't have that printed. I have that on my phone, but I'm more than happy to submit that to the
Like
board.
I said, I passed by there on Tuesday, and then this afternoon, and they were not there
Yeah,
both times.
I'm
And it looked
not-
the same.
Yeah, I went to check daily because when I replaced it,
Need your name and address for the record.
Ralph Romano, 429 Center Island Road, Oyster Bay, New York.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes,
Okay. And
So-
everything you said is the truth so far?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I had done my daily checks on the signs, I had noticed that the first time it fell, I came back to the ZBA office to get the replacement sign. On my follow-up checks, I had saw that it was still up.
And what day was that?
That was yesterday. I did not go out there today. I, will admit that to the board, but I'm not sure if any snow removal efforts had gotten in the way of that.
All right. Well, like I said, it wasn't there on Tuesday or today, so either one.
Okay, well,
What makes this place so unique where you want to justify it for the distance variance?
If you're going to the question of unique, you're now reading out of the use variance test. And the use variance test is not specific to the entire town, nor does it say it needs to be one of a kind. There's numerous case law on that. This is a large industrial area, half a mile deep by 1.2 miles wide. In that industrial area, there's only a handful of properties that have an issue with that separation distance. If we got to that, and via the state's position, we don't need to get a variance or a special permit for that matter.
I mean, you're aware the board never gave any kind of relief before to anybody on this.
The issue on cannabis, this is all happening in real time. Those state opinions that I turned in are from last year. They're like 6 months old at the oldest. Those things were not around a year ago. The court cases are all from last year, too. The issue of state preemption was at best discussed, but it became real when those documents came down, and all of that is very recent.
I mean, you even said the distance from door to door is 635 feet.
That's from the rear door to the door to condo, scales at about 635.
It's still, we need 750, so you're still short no matter.
According to the state of New York, there is no separation distance to residential property. If you calculate the distance in the state's way, as they would calculate it for schools or churches where they do have a separation distance, that distance comes out to be about 705. But again, it's on the other side of developed multi-tenant industrial properties, and there's just you can't even see this store from that condominium.
I really have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a question. You referred to 2 delivery vehicles.
Yes.
Where, when, and how will they be kept?
They're probably going to be the employees' cars.
Probably employees' cars?
They're probably going to be the employees' cars.
And
If they were kept, there's an indication on the site plan as to where they would be kept. But the aim is to have the employees use their personal vehicles.
there'll be no products left in them overnight?
No, this is a very highly regulated system. They have to be assigned a specific product that they sign out, and then they have to get a signature on the delivery, and then they have to turn all that back into the establishment, and the operators have to turn paperwork into the state. It's very regulated.
That's why I ask.
Look, I understand, the state is actually encouraged delivery. I don't know why, but they do. I personally feel Amazon delivers enough to my door. I cut open enough boxes as it is on a daily
Yet
basis.
to come from Amazon.
The biggest, the most packages actually come from my tiny little Cavapoo and my son's guinea pig.
Thank you for sharing.
Any other questions from the board?
What other businesses are located in this commercial building?
Okay, let me get the list out. The list I have is a nail salon, a convenience store, a barber shop, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, ravioli takeout restaurant, an Asian takeout restaurant, a pizza takeout restaurant, a halal takeout restaurant, and another retail store that I believe sells adult-oriented products. That's there now.
So there's not a dance studio in that same
No.
building? There was?
There,
This will be.
Oh, this is taking over the dance studio.
yeah, the
Well,
dance studio's gone.
hypothetically. There is another dance studio within the vicinity, though, correct?
I'm not sure where, but again, all of those requirements, the state code says public youth facility. That has to be owned by a governmental entity and is a particular special type of establishment. Like the town's youth rec center would probably qualify. Private dance studios, amusement parks, all of that stuff do not fit the state's definition.
Just a question. These are the photos that are going to look like inside,
Those
correct?
are renderings, that's not an actual photo, but that's a rendering of what's proposed for the interior of the store.
What are these?
What are these things over here? If you want to just come look at it real quick.
He, you,
Yeah.
So one of the ways we plan on differentiating ourselves other than other dispensaries is primarily education. And the main thing about that is the medicinal benefits of cannabis. What you're seeing there are basically glass vases, which will house a liquid known as terpenes. This is the chemical compound in all cannabis products responsible for their flavor, their aroma. They're also found in your lemons, your pineapples, but not to hear my biology lesson, there is no cannabis in those physical vases. It is basically just a contraption so that they can smell the aroma and understand what benefits they may gain from that specific terpene and find in a proper product, whether it's to help them sleep or to focus or to stay awake, but it's to aid us in our education of the consumer, as this is very new to a lot of people in the state of New York.
How does the consumer use it? I mean, you said it's a glass vase, right?
Yeah,
So do you clean it afterwards? How
Yeah,
does that
so,
work?
so there's no actual cannabis product. It's a non-cannabis infused liquid. The same exact liquid is found in a lemon or in a pineapple, any fruit that you may eat. So there's a contraption you would squeeze that basically pushes some air out and pushes it towards them. This way they don't have to get their face very close. But yeah, it is entirely sealed up. There's no way that liquid could be poured out or accessed. It's a hole the size of a pencil point that the air and the smell would come out of.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? I'll take the gentleman in the front. He was here first, early. Name and address for the record, please.
John Allen, 23 Summerfield Court, Deer Park, New York. I am part of that minority of homes that are in Quail Run that were mentioned at the end of the
Do you
presentation.
affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
What has been left out when we're mentioning all of the businesses in the area and the industrial is that there is already a marijuana dispensary on Industry Court less than 1 mile away. I've gone to my car and it's less than a mile away. Industry Court cannot handle the traffic that is on that road as it is. I live in the area and I pass it quite often. And while they may say that on-site consumption is not happening, that is not basically true. As they get to their cars, they're consuming it, or they'll drive up the road and consume it. And as you know, if you live on Long Island, you can't drive anywhere without being inundated with the aroma of marijuana while driving your car. So while the gentleman made his presentation and casually left out that fact, Deer Park and that area does not need another cannabis dispensary. I live there. The area is very small. And as you may or might not know, this is not related, but there was a catastrophic traffic accident that happened there a little over a year ago. The traffic in that area cannot handle the volume that is going to be inundated in that area. I live there. I go to Kohl's all the time. I go to ShopRite all the time. I can't tell you how many times people are running traffic lights. The parking lot will not be able to handle the volume that will be coming into that complex, let alone I am fearful that people will be parking, if you know the Kohl's parking lot, on the other side, people will be parking there and walking across. Hit and runs have become an epidemic on Long Island. I'm fearing that people are going to visit this place and we're going to have more vehicular and pedestrian accidents. Also, they're trying to get a variance to shrink the area where outside of the residential allotment to Quail Run. And what he said, what is factually incorrect, is that you cannot see it. If you stand at the gated entrance of Brandywine, you can see all the way to the end of the road, and you can definitely see that complex. There is also some type of a video gaming establishment right on the corner of Brandywine. And when they have their events, the traffic is untenable. It's on both sides of the street. It creates a problem getting in and out. And while, yes, there is industrial zoning, it does create a problem with tractor trailers coming in and out. The fact that we already have one would precipitate the fact that we don't need one, especially in an area that's that congested. And while the state is adopting the legalization, again, I can say that the federal government has not decriminalized marijuana. It remains a classified Schedule I prohibited substance under the Controlled Substance Act of 1970. Many states may have tried, but again, state law cannot supersede federal law. So I do believe that if we filed a class action lawsuit on the behalf of the 800 or more residents of Quail Run, we would probably win in federal court because it is it's not recognized federally. I'm asking this board, in fairness to the residents of Quail Run, who have basically been ignored in this procedure, and the fact that there already is a major cannabis dispensary less than a mile away, and the fact that the traffic will not be able to handle it, to please deny this application, and not only the fairness to the people of Quail Run, but to the people of this condensed area of Deer Park between Grand Boulevard, Cormac Road, Bayshore Road, and the fact that we already have a major cannabis dispensary in the area. Please do not approve this application. I thank you.
Thank you. I guess you're next. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Raymond Smolensky from Seibin & Seibin, LLP, 90 East Main Street, Bayshore, New York. Here on behalf of myself and my daughter, Florine Smolensky, who lives in Quail Run, just moved in 3 months ago. As you are all well aware, the town's purpose is protecting the residential areas, and the primary goal was to protect them as far as the distance is concerned. The concern is obviously was traffic, which I joined and was just spoken about, and also the odor on residential properties. The one thing that was said was this relationship to alcohol. Well, alcohol doesn't produce an odor. There, I believe, is also an alcohol store right on the corner of the shopping mall, and you do not smell that. It does not produce an odor. There is an odor from the existing one. Quail Run was started in 1975, and I believe there's about 346 units. There's 3 pools, tennis courts, pickleball courts, playroom for the kids, and I don't want to be using those facilities smelling the weed. Right now, you can smell it from the other facility, but only when you're driving on a certain portion of the road. That one is about over a mile away. This one will be a lot closer. Brandywine is not open to the public, neither is the main entrance open to the public. You need a fob in order to get into Brandywine. There are houses all along Quail Run, which entrance is from Brandywine. And my daughter's unit is located a little east of Brandywine from there. We talked about the hours, and like I said, the other one is on Long Island Cannabis Club, 94 East Industry Court. Day and night, when you're going by, you hit a certain section of the road, you can smell it. And that's less than a mile away, as it was stated. Leonard Skinner said it best, that smell. We don't need that smell for the kids. This is not in a 55-plus community. There's kids there, there's senior citizens, and I don't want to be smelling it when I'm doing any of the outdoor activities. That smell, we don't need it. While it was said that the courts have made determinations, it's not final. The Supreme Court, as I'm sure the board is aware, goes up to the appellate division, even the Court of Appeals, and I'm sure there'll be decisions that'll go up, and we'll have to see what they say on that issue. And if anybody wants these products, I'm sure they won't have any problem going to side streets. There were plenty of other vacant commercial buildings, commercial properties that should be available for this business, and don't allow it to be placed where they're proposing. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Donna Lapari. I live at 53 Green Meadow Court, Deer Park, Quail Run.
Okay. And you affirm to tell the truth?
I certainly am. The first time I drove into Quail Run, it was a magical experience. I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but it is our home, and it's reminiscent of our town, Thornton Wilder. Such a special place. These condos were built 50 years ago. They're little English Tudors. We all have our own fireplaces. We all have charming stucco. It just reminds me of a French village, an English village. And I knew as I drove in to hear a Buddhist monk. I was a pianist in a Unity church at the time, and two people in my choir were like, Donna, we're having... I literally heard inside my head, you could live here. You could live here. At the time I was married, I was living in Dix Hills in a big, beautiful home. Went through a kind of rough divorce, and 10 years later, I called these people that I hadn't seen in 10 years, because me and churches don't really get along. I'm much more spiritually oriented. Anyway, I said, Marie, this is Donna Lapari. Do you remember me? Yes, yes, we remember you. Of course, Donna. I said, I have a question. Were you thinking of selling your condo? And she said, are you psychic? I said, well, a little bit. We just bought a house in Florida, and we're putting it up for sale this week. I hadn't seen it in 10 years. I said, no, I want it. I'm coming over. I'll give you a deposit. I've been there 27 years. I've seen Tanger outlets be built. A lot's changed in 27 years. This quiet, beautiful little space. We've had to deal with a lot of different things. Traffic on Grand Boulevard every single weekend from all of and of course the holidays, horrific, but you know, we kind of know the little ins and outs of maybe going down the other entrance or this or that horrific accident at the nail salon last year where 4 people were killed. Again, this is an open area, and it is constantly people cutting, people moving, people. I'm a singing teacher. I teach in Quail Run. I have a lot of little children coming to my condo. It's a classy place. It's my home. It's a beautiful place. I know what happens with cannabis. I have teenage students. I hear about it all the time. What this gentleman referred to is absolutely true. It's like I remember when I used to have to get my dad, hi Pop, sorry, from OTB. And they'd be all the gamblers would be outside and they'd be hanging out, deciding when to place their bets or whatever. This is what happens. There's gonna be in our home, this place that, look, you can do whatever you want. I am a very open-minded person, but don't ruin our town. Many of us have been here for so many years. We all know each other. We all love each other. We all have spent our time keeping this community. If you go into Quail Run, it's pristine. It's this beautiful little Finian's Rainbow, how are you in Glockamore, our town. And I do not want to see it violated. I do not want to see people hanging out, stoned, as the other gentleman referred to, smelling. As we drive down Deer Park Avenue now, all you do is smell pot, marijuana. I do not want that. It is not fair. We learned from the past. Let's create a future where we don't have to rely on cannabis or drugs or antidepressants or anti-anxieties. How about we rely on each other, the kindness, the respect. Please respect us at Quail Run and vote no against this proposition. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll get to all these.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Rich Warkentine, Warkenthin. I am also a resident of Quail Run, 1 Summerfield.
Confirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do. 1 Summerfield Court in Deer Park. I live directly behind where they want to put this. We are really, our community is a stone's throw away from this. When the one went up that's less than half a mile away, the cannabis place, everybody was like, what is going on? I can only imagine what we may hear after when this opens here. Now, I'm not a stickler, by any means. You want to smoke pot, smoke pot. But this is, like Donna said, this is our home. And the main key here that everybody is kind of skimming over, there's 3 entrances to Quail Run. Comac Road, which is for residences and service delivery in there. That's where Amazon will come in and all that. Brandywine is where we come in, the residents. That's our main source coming in and out of that community. It's directly in the center of Quail Run, and you'll see it. On that corner, already across the street is, and I don't know if I'm exposing anybody, is a teenager gaming place. And already there's parking up there. And if you notice on Brandywine, all the no parking signs. I myself was going to make a call to the town and go, hey, someone needs to enforce this because these kids are here all day. That is at the door of where they're proposing to put their main entrance, as per what I saw in the photograph. I may be wrong, but you may want to check that. So already that corner alone, where my own kids drive in and out of that corner, that is it. You sit at that light, you have the cannabis place on one side, you'll have the kids' gaming place. I don't know how many teenagers are there, but we're right there. Another thing, on the adjacent corner across from Panera Bread is Monster Golf. That's a children's facility for golfing, miniature golf. That was not mentioned. Again, we don't need it in this area. You want to move off into the industrial park, put it across the street from the other one. It doesn't matter. But right where we are is not the location this should be. That's all I'm saying. I'm asking you to please deny this petition for this, or whatever it is.
Application.
Application, yes, thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to be heard? Name and address for the record, please.
Evening. My name is Michael Lucitra. I live at 20 Wood Creek Court in the Quail Run condominium.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Mike, raise the microphone.
Is that okay?
That's good.
Okay. In terms of longevity, I am the oldest resident of Quail Run. I purchased my home 52 years ago in 1974, shortly after graduating from college, when this community was being built. I currently serve as a member of the Homeowners Association Board of Directors. I'm also a retired planner supervisor for the Nassau County Planning Commission. In approximately 1980, was offered the town planning director position right here in Babylon by former town supervisor Almendinger. And I have addressed this board numerous times over the years regarding similar land use proposals affecting my community. Regarding this application for a retail recreational marijuana dispensary, you will undoubtedly hear from my condominium neighbors concerns about traffic, crime, potential crime, hours of operation, driving around while high, distance to our community's property line, and proximity to another marijuana dispensary less than a mile away. I agree with all of that, and there's no need for me to repeat it here. I want to focus on the underlying issues of zoning. This application is for the issuance of a special exception in Town Zoning District G. For the benefit of my neighbors who may not be familiar with the Town of Babylon zoning classifications, Industrial G is the most permissive land use regulation in the town. When Industrial G governs a parcel of property, you are free to develop almost any imaginable land use, either by right or application to this board for special exception. The few types of land uses that are specifically prohibited include a fat rendering plant, a blast furnace, an abattoir, which is a fancy name for a slaughterhouse. Anything else appears to be fair game to propose, which is what we have here. Now, when I moved in 1974, Industrial G was a reasonable regulation for the properties that line Grand Boulevard. We had AIL Cutler Hammer, numerous machine shops, tool and die manufacturer, aircraft-related manufacturing to support the former Deer Park Airport, and local defense industries such as Grumman and Fairchild Republic. But today, all of that is long gone. Taking its place, as has been mentioned, we have a Kohl's department store, 7-Eleven, Popeye's restaurant, Ace Hardware, a pizzeria, a ravioli store, nail salons, and so on. Clearly, these are not industrial uses. They are retail businesses that exist to support local neighborhoods. As such, they should be governed by a more restrictive zoning classification that better protects surrounding neighborhoods, such as Business E. My point is that the zoning for these properties along Grand Boulevard has not kept pace with what is actually out there. As a result, our community has been adversely affected by intensive land uses such as Tanger Outlet Mall, Roadway Express, and we are choking with tractor trailers on our surrounding streets. I am at a loss for how we can reduce the amount of obsolete zoning Industrial G surrounding our neighborhood, whether it can be done on the initiative of a planning department study, or whether it can be done by our homeowners pressuring our town councilmen who serve at large. And I'm well aware that there are politics involved because the zoning change can affect the value of one's piece of property. But I think you can see and understand the adverse effects of Industrial G on our neighborhood and surroundings. Now, as to the specific proposal for a recreational marijuana dispensary, in 2022, when the town went along with this as a permitted use in Industrial G, it initially imposed a setback requirement of at least 1,000 feet from any residential property line. Then in 2024, for reasons unknown to me, that requirement was reduced to at least 750 feet. This proposal seeks a special exception to lower the setback requirement even further to 460 feet. This is preposterous, and I think the proposal should be rejected on this basis alone. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? Come on up. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Claudine Cangiano, and I reside at 43 Green Meadow Court, Deer Park. I'm also a resident in the Quail Run complex.
You affirm to tell the truth?
I do. Thank you. So I've been residing in Quail Run for 21 years now, and I am a parent. I have a 13-year-old daughter who's grown up in Quail Run and really loves the community and our neighbors. And as I know you've been hearing from some of my neighbors here, Certainly, my concern is around what my daughter is exposed to in and near her home. When the weather's nice, we like to walk up to Grand Boulevard, walk down Brandywine, and just that proximity of this type of retail shop is of concern. And as you heard, on our community property, we have a playground. We have kids reside in Quail Run, kids coming in and out of Quail Run, grandchildren related to the businesses. So it's certainly a concern around the proximity and that type of exposure. So from that perspective, I would ask the board to vote no to this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? I'll take the lady in the back. Oh, go ahead. You want to go? Ladies first. Trying to do the right thing. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Joseph Manzella at 19 Summerfield Court in Quail Run. I agreed with everything else everybody said. I guess you guys are going to be looking at all of that legal documents too to find out if actually you have any say in this matter. But the only other thing I wanted to mention was the 66 parking spots I think you guys were mentioning. And I'm pretty sure that right now with the businesses that there are, it's not like an empty parking lot. And I don't know how much traffic they're thinking of people coming in. Like the wine place there, the liquor place, there's probably only a couple of people in there at any one time. And I'm thinking this might cause an overload problem. I don't know if they've done any surveys to try to figure out how much usage is there now and how much do they expect to add to that. Because if they're trying to walk across Grand Boulevard there, I know I take my walks out there, and sometimes, it's really hard to get across the street. That is really a very busy area, and there is, just another dispensary, which probably doesn't really matter for, to stop a company from coming in, but that I think should be taken into consideration also. But and yes, I swear to tell the truth. I think
Thanks.
I forgot.
Everything you told us already is the truth, right?
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Marie Banyan Andrea. I live at 110 Green Meadow Drive in Deer Park, and I'm currently the president of the Homeowners Association in Quail Run.
You affirm to tell the
And I
truth.
think I'm going to probably be the last speaker, but I don't know.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Excuse me?
Do you
I
affirm
promise to tell the truth.
And you're the president of the association. Are you here representing the president, as representing the association, or are you here as you?
I'm representing the association.
Okay.
Okay. So one of the things I have to remind everybody is that we are in the furthest part of the town of Babylon away from Town Hall. So sometimes the problems that we face over there are not heard here. Years ago, when Tango was being built and explored, there was a traffic study done, okay, an extensive traffic study, which had tons and tons of errors, and we worked with the town, and we researched and worked with the builder and the town, and Mr. Ballone was the supervisor at the time, and lots of promises were made about the traffic in that area. 98% of them were not upheld. The traffic situation, and I implore any of you to please come and hang in that area where we all live, Grand, Comac Road, whatever, anytime, especially late afternoon, anytime after 4 o'clock, definitely on the weekends. Just the other day, I came out Brandywine. It took me 40 minutes to make the right-hand turn. 40 minutes just to make a right-hand turn from Brandywine with a light, and bump all the way down. Going towards Comac Road was even a worse disaster, right? You do whatever you can do going in and out of entranceways to avoid both Comac Road and Grand Boulevard. So it's an extremely situation. The railroad tracks are another situation. The railroad tracks that never work, and it's a disaster waiting to happen. Somebody's going to get hurt there. We've spoken to state senators, we've spoken to town people, we've spoken to Mr. Schaefer. The things go up and down all day with no trains coming, and then they go up and down and trains come a minute later. So it's really a difficult situation. To add something like the dispensary, right, which will increase that traffic, I don't know how many more, that parking lot is full now, and the dispensary isn't even there, from morning till late night. And then in late night, it becomes a hangout with blasting music and all kinds of situations. You could speak to the police department. The 311 calls go there all the time, okay, especially in the nice weather. So it becomes a major hangout at night also. So I don't know I didn't really hear the hours that the dispensary is looking to do, but I think that's just going to enhance the problem. But I really would like you to take a look, a serious look, at the traffic situation. And from what we're seeing that's happening at the Cannabis Club on East Industry, they are double and triple parked there. Anytime from 5 o'clock at night to when they close, and all day Saturday and Sunday. It's crazy going on East Industry Court right now. So I can only think that that's going to happen here also. So I implore you just to come and take a look, spend some time, weekend and evening time with that traffic and what's going on over there. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? Okay. Thank you.
Most of, I think, the issues were addressed in what we've already submitted. I would add a few things. The site meets parking. And the traffic of this store compared to the Tanger Mall is a drop in a bucket. The Tanger Mall was the largest build-from-scratch project the town has ever seen. The only thing bigger was probably Fairchild Republic, and that wasn't built in one go. As far as the state-federal conflict, New York's not the first state to legalize cannabis. I can't see that issue hasn't been to the federal courts in other states. If New York felt the feds were going to pull the rug out from under them, I cannot see they adopted the code that they did. The traffic accident was not cannabis related. The other store, my client has no relationship to that store. If that store is being run irresponsibly, somebody can obviously complain to the state and they can send somebody down to investigate. I don't know anything about that store, but the distance between this site and that site meets state requirements. I think the reality is cannabis is part of the future. I told my kids when I turned 18, that was the drinking age at the time. My father sat me down and handed me a beer. It was a really cheap Rheingold, but that was what happened in that day. And he said, you can drink beer the rest of your life and be responsible. Don't do drugs, don't smoke pot. I don't get to have that conversation with my kids because their world is different than mine. Cannabis is around, it's going to be around. The regulations as far as how it's operating and managed will evolve, but the state has made it very clear they're treating cannabis like alcohol. And what they don't want is local interference in terms of site location or other operational aspects of that business. So, and here, we do not need any other relief. We meet all we meet parking, we meet everything else in the code. It's an existing building. It got a variance for parking in the front yard. There's also parking in the rear, and that was because industrial properties have a limit on how much parking you could have in the front yard. This was built commercially. It was CO'd as a retail building. So, you know, as we look into the future, the cases that I cited and turned in, 2 of those cases are already in front of the appellate court. They've filed their briefs a couple of weeks ago. So the law is going to be settled in a fairly quick manner in this way. I presume other advisory opinions will be issued by the CCB. This is where things are going. The state has grabbed the reins on this, and the state will regulate this industry. If the board has any additional questions, I'm happy to hear them.
Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for coming down. We'll take it all into consideration. You only get one turn to talk. That's it. All right? So we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You guys will get the decision in the mail. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you coming down. Next application is application 25-249 of Mastercraft Finishers, Inc., property located in Deer Park.
Did you get your planning memo and DC memo on the table? All the way to the end? No. Is that yours?
It's okay. No worries.
We'll share. No, go ahead. Maybe we'll get the clue. Can I just ask everybody if you guys want to continue? I know it's cold out, but we do have other applications, please. Thank you.
Hello, board. My name is Michael Schwartz. I am the owner of Mastercraft Finishers, a metal finishing facility that's on 30 West Jeffrin Boulevard. And I'm here to request, sorry, there's...
Go ahead. Do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do, sir, yes.
Okay. All right, so let me read this stuff into the record.
Okay.
For the record, there's a planning memo dated January 22nd, 2026. Environmental control memo dated January 28th, 2026. Of this application, we need a negative declaration were we to approve it. There is a survey. It's by Bruce Morrell. It's undated. It's definitely, I can make it a Bruce. Tax map acting as an area map and?
Chairman, there's 4 photographs.
Okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Sure. So I'll give you a little background. Mastercraft Finishers is a company that finishes metal. We do pre-treatment and painting and powder coating on metal. And the main industry that we've operated in for the last 50 years is the military. We also operate in architectural space. The company's 53 years old, and for the majority of that history, for more than 50 years of it, it's been processing military componentry for all branches of the government. As you might know, in the last predominantly 10 or 15 years, there's been a pretty significant exodus of fabricators doing military parts in Long Island, everybody from LR3 Harris to a variety of customers, and that has had a significant hardship and effect on Mastercraft's business. We have shifted more into architectural processing, but the loss that has occurred on the the military side has really been impactful and significant to our business. We're here to seek approval to be able to coat componentry for firearms, which really is the same thing that we have actually been doing for 50 years. And actually a lot more advanced weaponry and componentry than something like a firearm. But it is an industry that's growing. We have a certification in the type of coating that would be required for doing firearms. And we seek the ability to purely deal with business-to-business operations in coating firearms. And this will allow our expert staff who are involved in everything from painting to masking parts to processing to continue to not only have work and have a job, but allow us to survive as a company. Would you like to go into some more detail? I'm more than happy to. I could.
No. Okay. No, if you want to give us more, that's fine.
So, I mean, we've been handling sensitive documents, military componentry for 50 years. We're very familiar with the responsibility behind this. Our objective is to never have an operational firearm in our facility. We would purely have componentry. We only wish to deal with either gun shops or gun manufacturers. The purpose of our existence even, or to do this type of operation, is old rusty guns are dangerous to fire. There is not one single person on Long Island who can legally refurbish that gun appropriately currently. There are guns that come from manufacturers that are out of compliance because of the color. For example, in New York City, you're required to either have a black or a gray or a green gun. Well, many manufacturers make them in other colors, and they need to be put in compliance for that consumer that would be able to purchase it. There's also the hunting industry, which requires camouflage, and also people do have the right to personalize their firearm under the Constitution, as long as they personalize it in a way that meets the requirements.
Interesting. Okay. All right, I'll turn the hearing over to Mr. Montiglio.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
You had a special permit years ago for an indoor handball court.
That was actually not us. So that was the previous.
You took something over.
We took over a facility.
That's
yes.
no longer there. Okay.
No, it's no longer there.
So basically, the business models are the same amount of employees, same hours. Nothing's going to change.
Nothing's going to change.
So
I'm sorry. Go.
So the hours of operation, everything's going to be the same. Nothing.
So going to be 7 a.m. to 3:30 in the afternoon.
I was just going to ask, so none of these weapons will be functional?
Nothing will be functional in a multitude of ways. First of all, we won't have all the components. We will just have certain pieces of it, and we will never have ammunition. So there will never be a way to fire a weapon in our facility. We already have a safety plan. We have a safe in place. We have a way to manage and organize the system already, very similar to how we handle sensitive military parts.
So then what do? You ship these to gun manufacturers?
So what would happen is, unfortunately, we don't have too many left in New York. There are some in New Jersey, Florida, and other places. So we would operate two ways. We would either operate with a manufacturer, where we would take their original componentry, for example, the handle or the top of the pistol, where they would wish to have a certain color, and they may send them to us in a batch to do a certain amount at a time. Or we will also operate with gun shops who have retail customers to wish to either customize or get in compliance or refurbish an old firearm, because even if you're a gun shop, you don't really have the ability to do that. And actually, you don't have the right to finish it in that way either.
Are you operating now?
We've been operating for 53 years.
Number of employees?
And 20 employees.
I have just one question. I'm curious. Is this just the exterior of the weapon, or is it the...
This is just the exterior of the weapon.
Nothing to do with the inside?
Nothing to do with the inside at all. But the reason why the manufacturers and processors are looking for the type of coating we're certified in is it is so thin that it doesn't affect the tolerance of a weapon. So that is why this is the chosen, even though it is only on the exterior and it doesn't operate on any functional parts of the weapon, they like the thinness and hardness of the product.
So if the interior of the gun is rusty, you won't do anything to it?
No, you would sandblast the whole entire thing. So for example, if you have,
Then paint the inside?
no, it would just take the rust off the inside and we would coat the outside.
I'm just curious.
That's okay.
Has nothing to really do with why you're here, but, you know.
It's fine.
I just have one question. Are you guys retail or mostly just all wholesale?
We're not at all retail. We don't have any retail customers.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just wholesale companies.
We have military entities that are fabricators. We have architectural fabricators that process panels for the outside of buildings, copings and things. All of our customers are doing the further work. They're the wholesale part of the side of the business. We don't actually have any retail customers.
Okay.
Just another question. If you do get approved for the application, do you agree to no storage of ammunition on site?
Absolutely.
You currently have spray booths there now?
Yes, we do, sir. We have 11 spray booths. One is used as a sanding booth, and they're all regulated. They all have permits, and we filed the paperwork for that as well.
Need fire marshal. Need fire marshal.
We don't have fire marshal on this yet. Have you had the fire marshal there?
Yes, I have had a fire marshal there recently and actually made us make a couple little changes, which we did.
Okay, because we don't have approval from the fire marshal, so
That's odd because they were there and made me install some sprinklers over my oven and we complied
How long ago?
3 months ago
3 months? Okay, yeah, we should have it.
while we've been in this process, but we're happy to have somebody come. I mean, it's no problem.
They do go for every commercial application from the zoning board.
Sure.
So they were probably there for their permit, but they also go back for any application here.
We welcome them, no problem.
So
We're in
we advise
compliance.
you to get in touch with the fire marshal, have him come and do what he has to do, and then he'll turn that into the zoning office. You don't have to come back here for anything or anything like that. But we need the fire marshal's report that's for the zoning board.
That's fine. I believe we did that. I'm happy to arrange that again. Sure.
All right, perfect. So you've done this, you've turned this business to basically survive?
It's well, first of all, I would like to not have to fire a bunch of my employees. I'd like for them to have jobs.
I totally get it.
I wouldn't say that at the moment it's for survival, but it could become. In the last 5 years, we've lost 50% of our military business, which represents a significant portion of our business.
Okay.
And we've been fighting like hell in other segments to survive, but it's difficult.
Okay, well, very good. Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. We'll keep the record open. I just need that fire marshal's report, so if you can get him there.
Sure.
All right.
And what specifically should I ask the fire marshal? What am I requesting specifically?
Just an inspection.
You already have a report from us internally.
Okay.
They probably just didn't have time to go there before today.
Okay.
So they would already have the inspection report they would need to complete. So you say you went to the zoning board, you need them to come inspect for that.
We'll do it right away, tomorrow.
Are you on any kind of timeline or anything, or you're doing?
We're on a timeline so we can start fighting for this business and hopefully improve the shape of the business. But I mean, are we on any timeline that's going to expire? Not necessarily. We've reached out to the FFL. They said they're happy to approve our application upon getting zoning approval. They said we're an excellent applicant. We meet every single aspect of what they would approve.
Here's the reason I'm asking this, because we're not going to have a hearing for the next month because they're switching to a new system in the zoning office. So we'll talk, but I think maybe we can make a condition on you getting the fire marshal's approval, condition on the fire marshal's report, okay?
That would be great.
Please try and,
We will make the call tomorrow first thing.
Okay. All right.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Close reserve, right?
Yeah, we're going to close the hearing, reserve decision, keep the record open for the fire marshal's report. And finally, see, you shouldn't adjourn this one. Next application is 25-242. Property is located in Wyandanch. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, Chairman Kane,
members of the board. For the record, I'm Mark Garabrandt with the law offices of Donahue, Kretz, and Garabrandt. It's 692 South Wellwood Avenue here in Lindenhurst, and I represent Philip Malfitani, who appears here tonight in connection with his application for proposed construction of a two-story, one-family dwelling. Before I begin, I'd just like to pass on.
Before you begin, let me read this in, okay? For the record, I have a Planning Division memo dated January 6, 2026. A Department of Environmental Control memo dated January 14, 2026. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Do we have any, you guys have anything else on this?
Or we have 6 photographs.
I don't have anything.
Oh, 6 photographs and the site plan by Jose Garcia, dated January 14, 2025.
Okay, go.
And the planning memo.
The planning, yeah, I read the planning memo.
Okay. What I'd like to pass up, because I'm going to be making reference to them, I've made copies of tax maps, which I'm going to be making reference
Yeah, that's
to.
fine.
So I have one for each one. And then I also have 2 sets.
Share with Katie or you.
Of photographs, which I've taken of dwellings in the neighborhood. So I made 2 sets so that you could take a look at those. And then also, there's 2 sets of photographs of basically vacant lots in the neighborhood.
Okay. We'll just want to stamp that one so we can save that one too.
I'll go right back.
And I also see that I did pass on the 2 copies of the radius map, which I'm going to make reference to as well. If I may, my client's premises are located at 22 Lakewood Street in Wyandanch, Suffolk County Tax Map number 157-224. The premises are zoned Residence C, although if you take a look at the radius map, and again, I passed on 2 of those, directly north of my client's premises and on the north side of Lakewood Street, it is a special district, the WC Wyandanch and Straight Path Corridor, T4, mixed-use residence, mixed-use residential and commercial zoned. And incidentally, over 1/3 of the letters which we sent out, 10 of the 28 properties were actually located in this district. My client's property is a through street with frontages on both Lakewood and Grand Boulevard. On Lakewood, it's located approximately 231.60 feet east of Doe Street and has a street frontage of 46.32 feet. Excuse me, on Grand, it's located 200 feet east of Doe Street and has a street frontage of 40 Street. This through premises is unusually deep, running 205.68 feet on the west and 229.06 feet on the east. Overall, the premises has a total lot area of 8,697 square feet, or approximately a fifth of an acre, and certainly has well over the 7,500 square footage generally required under the C residence zone. As certified by Stewart Title Insurance Company, this property has been held in single and separate ownership since at least 1949, and appears to go back even in the search to prior to that into the 30s, and that the property has been owned by the Malfitani family. Philip's grandfather, Saverio Malfitani, have owned it since 1961, and Philip acquired the property in 2022. The Malfitanis have been paying taxes on this property for the past 60 years or so without any real return on the property, and with everything that's been going on in Wyandanch recently with revitalization of that area, they believe this was an opportune time to revitalize this property and help revitalize the neighborhood as well. Initially, with respect to the proposed dwelling, the first floor is going to have 1,025 square feet, an 80 square foot rear porch and 172 square foot front porch for a total of 1,277 square feet on the first floor and 938 square feet on the second floor for a total of 2,215 square feet for the entire dwelling. The front door is going to be located on Grand Boulevard, as is the case with the neighboring properties to both the east and west. The side yards are 10 feet and 10.8, which exceed the side yard requirements for property held in a single and separate ownership. The first floor is going to have a living room, kitchen, bedroom, and 1.5 baths. The second will have 3 additional bedrooms and a full bath. The premises will be built on a crawl space, so there will be no basement, and it's going to have both a front and rear porch, which we understand can not be enclosed. The premises will be hooked up to sewers, and the only variances required are for street frontage. As to the use variance, I submit that this application is very much in keeping with many of dwellings of the neighborhood. There are a number of homes in this neighborhood which have been built with 40-foot street frontage. If you'll take a look at that first tax map number 1 that I provided you with, you can see where our premises is located. Which I marked in orange with a cross, and immediately south of that is tax lot number 40, which is 32 grand, which is 40 by 175 feet, and that was approved in 2024 under ZB application 23070. For a 1,372 square foot dwelling. If you'd like, I can provide
By
you.
this board, and is that
Yes.
40-foot wide?
It's ZBA application 23-070. Would you like a copy of that?
If you have it, sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, and that is directly across the street from us. Turning down toward Elm, you'll see tax lot number 42, which is 3 Elm Street, and tax lot number 43, which is 5 Elm Street, are both dwellings which are built on 40 by 100-foot properties, both of them constructed in 1972. If you continue moving back to Grand Boulevard and looking to your right or to the east, if you will, you can see that there are a number which are highlighted in orange of dwellings that were built with 40-foot street frontages. You can see there's tax lot 80, which is 60 Grand Avenue, which is 40 by 175. Tax lot 81 is 62 Grand, which is built on 40 by 175. We also have tax lot number 85, which is 74 Grand, which was built on 40 by 175. Then across the street and to the north, you have tax lot 73.1, which is 63 Grand Avenue, which is built on 40 by 179. And then you'll also see tax lot 74, which is 57 Grand, and which is built on 40 by 226. You could see from this tax map that there are a number of properties which are have less than the required 75-foot street frontage. I tried to highlight in yellow all those properties which have 60 feet of street frontage. And then in pink, you can see, and those basically are only on Hemlock. I believe there are 5 of them that have 50 feet of street frontage. The second tax map is just, it's a larger version of that. And you can see there were a couple of additional properties that were built on 40-foot lots looking at on Hemlock Street, you could see on the corner of Hemlock and Lake, which is tax lot number 46, that's 35 Hemlock. That was built on a 40 by 100-foot property back in 1972. And then going to the bottom of the page, on Commonwealth, you'll see tax lot 119, which is 113 Commonwealth Drive, which is built on a 40 by 100. And you'll see, again, there are more substandard lots. As you look at Lake and Hemlock especially, you'll see a number of properties, again, that were built on 50-foot street frontages and 60-foot street frontages. So you really have quite a hodgepodge over here as far as the size of the lots. Although I don't have the tax map for this, but immediately adjacent to this district is District 158 and 2. And there was tax map number 33, which was 103 Irving, which is 40 by 100, which is built in 42. Tax map number 34, which is 105 Irving, which is built on 40 by 100. And these are all single-family dwellings. And then tax map number 9, which was on 94 Commonwealth, which was also built on a 40 by 100. So you can see from both of these tax maps, you can see there are a number of substandard parcels, and there are a number of 40 by 100-foot lots, or 40-feet street frontage, I should say, including the one that was built directly across the street from my client's property. I believe that my client's application, it's not only going to eliminate an eyesore, but it's going to beautify this property and the neighborhood. You can see that I passed up photographs of each of the 40-foot dwellings that I made reference to on the first tax map, if you have any question about those. I also passed on 3 photographs, 2 of Elm Street, which were basically just vacant lots. And that's one thing that I noticed about this neighborhood, that there were, unfortunately, there were a lot of properties that are rather unsightly, including the one that was on Lakewood, which you can see, which has the basketball net in front of it, which is directly across from what would be the rear of my client's property. I understand in making your determination, you need to weigh the benefit to be derived to my client versus to the detriment to the health and safety and welfare of the neighborhood. But frankly, I think this is a win-win situation for both my client and the neighborhood. As I drove around, as I said, I could see that there are a lot of properties that are unkept, thatched, if you will, and just very unsightly. And I think this would greatly enhance the neighborhood's value here. As I said, we don't need any other variances other than street frontage. We have well beyond the total area required for a C residence dwelling, never mind that we have a total area, more total area than the property across the street from us, which was approved for a 40-feet street frontage. And obviously, since this has been held in single and separate ownership for some time, there's no self-created hardship here. And so lastly, I just, in summing up, I believe that this variance is not going to have any adverse effect on the, or impact on the physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood, and would actually improve those conditions.
Okay, so you mentioned all these 40-footers. You did provide us with zoning board on one of those 40-footers. Did the other ones have zoning board approval?
Not that I was aware of. Not that I recall. Yeah, that's the only one.
That's the only one.
And I do know that a number of them were just
Under here.
So here's my real question on this. This was approved by this board, that's correct. But there is a condition on here, and it's the first condition on here, that part of the approval will be pursuant to technical assistance agreement with Long Island Housing Partnership, which is probably why it was approved by this board. Okay, so that's my question, where are we? Because 40 footers, we don't incline to approve 40 footers. And if you're saying to me you don't know if the other ones have approval, if you have another approval, we'll be happy to look at it. But at this point, that is the big reason why this was approved by this board.
We're assuming so.
Okay.
We're assuming so. I'm just saying, it's
We're all on the board
It's
from
not,
that.
and again, it wasn't anything, I don't think you're aware of it, but it was nothing that was mentioned in any kind of a planning memo that this is something that should be looked into. Frankly, I understand about the 40 footers, but there are a number of 40 footers in this area that they're so unsightly. I don't know why in the world anybody would want to maintain them that way. I really don't. Listen, I live in Amityville on Cedar Street. My property is smaller than these properties. My property is 35 by 170, and it's beautiful. And there's no problem with neighbors or being on top of each other. It just doesn't fly. And I lived there since 1993.
Listen, we could argue about that, but we're just looking at the code at this point in time is what, then, do they want to look at changing the code, or they want to look at something in line with this? And that's something that did come up at one point in time. Would it make sense to do something like that only these would be approved based on some circumstance of housing partnerships or so on and so forth? As a matter of fact, and, God rest, Darrell Conway we had a whole big back and forth on that at one point in time based on that type of information is what I'm saying, okay? And, that's where we are at this point in time with 40 footers. So, I don't know if I have any other questions, but that's my comments to some degree. I don't know, if your client would want to do something along these lines that make it, because what that does for us, it makes us stand out, that we don't approve 40 footers. There's reasons why, and that's the way it is.
Well, and I think also.
And we could argue that there's reasons why it shouldn't be, and I
And my
might tend to
client's
agree with
property
that too.
stands out because it has well more than 7,500, and we're
right.
talking about street frontage here. We're not talking about lot area. And it's the only variance that was required.
Agreed.
Excuse me one second.
Sure.
Does it say that will go for lot area variance?
John signed this.
No.
I was the
I signed it?
The new system, you'll be able to pull it up.
Well, I guess it's something we'll discuss. I mean, given that single and separate, we only needed 60 to begin with, these are not significant variances, because it is held in single and separate. And I understand the board's hesitancy to some extent to approve 40 footers, but I think sometimes we stand on form rather than substance. And the substance of my application here tonight, Mr. Malfitani's, listen, I've driven around that neighborhood several times. You could see my seated in my car taking those photographs and provided you with copies of what it looks like on Elm. I don't get it. I don't get it. What directly across from my client's property, because it backs up to Long Island Avenue.
Is that this one that you handed up or no?
What's that?
The one that you handed up, the one across the street from your client's property? No?
That's the approval. I'm talking about the photographs. I'm just talking about the one with the hoop. I mean, that's what you have there. This is what we want because we don't want to develop 40-foot lots. And I understand that you could be limited because if it doesn't have the adequate area. but we have more than enough area. We don't need any variances other than the street frontage. And, you know, we have 2 street frontages. The one across the street only had 40 feet. We have a 46.3.
I'm going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve the decision. I will keep the record open.
Just for the record, did you say that it's anyone here?
Oh, yeah. Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Reserve open.
Let me ask you this, though, too. If we were to approve this application, would you agree to the covenants and restrictions listed on?
Absolutely. That was not a problem.
Okay. We'll
So-
keep the record open.
We'll leave, for how long?
Huh?
How long? How long do you want to leave it open for? I'm just
Oh,
curious.
well, we don't have a meeting for a month,
Okay.
so we'll keep it open. Is that adequate? If not, you know, you can always get in touch with the zoning board,
Okay.
zoning office, rather. Or we could keep it open longer if you want to just, you know,
Okay.
weigh your options, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, we're
can't-
willing to, I'm willing to keep it open longer, the board's willing to keep it open longer, but, you know, right now, we don't have a meeting for a month, so nothing's gonna happen.
Okay.
All right? All right.
All
Thank
right.
you. All right?
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming down. Can I have 5 minutes? Can I have 5 minutes?
And the line.